Hello YouTube, this is DVD Review Studios here, and today I shall be doing a review on the complete first season of Solar Opposites, featuring my own custom-made Blu-ray set for the series, which this show is very interesting to say the least. It was co-created by Justin Roiland, who co-created, of course, Rick and Morty, and Mike McMahon also helped bring this series forward over the streaming service Hulu. And this first season is only 8 episodes long, but overall had a lot of creative ideas, and even though it was prejudged quite heavily in my opinion, with people slating it just from the first trailer drop stating that it was a Rick and Morty clone, that Justin Roiland had essentially sold out with this kind of show, and I can confirm it's definitely worth a watch at the very least. I would definitely recommend giving this show a chance. It wasn't something that caught my attention instantly. I didn't watch this when it first came out or anything of the sort. But I'm glad I went back and watched this, and overall for a first season, this is very unique for how it establishes its characters, and was very enjoyable for its portrayal of a typical animated sitcom, just now with aliens that escape their homeworld and move to Earth. And nobody cares that aliens are now amongst human beings, and I think that as a basis helps really strengthen this show to give it a lot more creative potential for different avenues of storytelling. And overall was very enjoyable for what it allowed in terms of creative freedom. I think with this being a streaming service, that removed any kind of restrictions that TV censors may have applied to it, and so that was definitely a strength to this series for sure. Before delving into the episodes, let us have a look at our main characters. So first up we have Corvo, who is voiced by Justin Roiland and does sound a little bit similar to Rick, but the character is quite different. He's a very interesting character in that he is the most rational out of all the characters in his attempts to understand planet Earth, while also having the set goal in mind of eventually leaving Earth and moving on and repairing their crashed spaceship. But everything else, including the other characters, seem to be holding him back, which is an ongoing gag throughout the series. We have Terry, who is a goofy kind of sidekick, a welcome inclusion in my opinion as the other sort of guardian or elder alien to the two children, and I kind of like how they've broken the dynamic in this series of actually having a family-style sitcom with a literal nuclear family. I like how they've just literally paired up two sort of friends and then given them responsibility for two younger aliens along with the pupa, and literally just ditched them, and with them leaving their homeworld, they just ended up stranded on planet Earth. I think that's definitely an interesting dynamic rather than going for the stereotype sort of mother figure with the other sort of elder alien. And then we have the replicants, as they are termed, the children, both Yum-Yalak and Jesse, who are technically sort of the brother and sister style duo. And they are just children discovering school and then being literally discriminated against for being aliens. And they have some great stories throughout this series, along with the pupa, who doesn't have any interesting stories per se, more so visual comedies used with that character. But it has been hinted over this season, especially towards the latter stages, that the pupa will eventually destroy Earth and revitalize it so then the alien kind can take over. So bring on the pupa, I guess, on that side of things. But yeah, for this show, overall, I'm going to try my best not to compare it to Rick and Morty. There are some things that are similar, some sci-fi themes, some tropes that Justin Roiland does bring forward. But otherwise, this was a very interesting first season, and before we do go any further, here's a quick look at the actual Blu-ray. So there's the spine, Solar Opposites, complete first season, a couple of Hulu logos thrown on there, and then we have the back cover, which I did struggle with a little bit content-wise. I thought 3 images was more than enough for this back cover design, and the rest of it I ended up basing on a find that I got from the website DeviantArt. I'll credit them on screen, since I did end up using their specifications bar and just changing it a little bit. And at the back cover, I thought the best inclusion I could throw on there was the red goobler, which was from one of my favourite episodes from this season. So that's the back cover, and then on the inside we have the episode guide, which I was originally going to include on the back. It just didn't really seem to fit anywhere properly, in all honesty, so that's why I did include it on the inside. And then my main issue with this is how I printed it. I've put this slightly askew to the right, which I'll likely end up reprinting this and correcting that. And then behind the disc, I thought I would include some humorous artwork, which I thought was absolutely hilarious when I first saw this in the series. where the pupa ends up recording some of the microverse humans having at it, which really did catch me off guard, so I thought I'd include that inside the Blu-ray set there. And so without further ado, let us go through the episodes and discuss them in detail. First up is the matter transfer array, which was a great introduction for the main characters, sharing the screen time between Corvo and Terry and then the replicants, where we have Corvo and Terry creating a real-life version of this fictional TV character they discover called Fun Bucket, and this does go horribly wrong in one of the most humorous ways, and then we have the replicants trying to handle their school bullies by shrinking them down and experimenting on them, which hints to the overarching plot based throughout this series. It's not my favourite episode, but it was a very strong opening and really did establish the main characters very well. Next up is the unstable grey hole, where Corvo and Terry come up with a ridiculous plan to use microscopic robots in the town's water supply to see whether or not they're actually liked by just simply spying on the citizens of the town. And we also have a great side story where Jesse tries to trick Yumyalak into thinking that human beings aren't really all that bad by manipulating people around them with a mind control device. And this led to some great character chemistry in my opinion, along with some phenomenal violent action scenes towards the end, where we have the firm beginning to the ongoing Wall storyline. Ta-da! Next up is one of my favourite episodes from this season, and that is the Quantum Ring, where Corvo tries to become a magician and after being rejected and marked as a failure, while throwing away all his magic stuff, a video of him goes viral naming him the burn victim trash man, which was absolutely hilarious with some really great visual gags and Corvo moments throughout. And I love the side plot receiving a more predominant focus for The Wall, which is essentially a bunch of interconnected terrariums with a society of shrunken adults that Yumyalak has basically kidnapped and shrunken into this society, which is heavily inspired by the movie Escape from New York. And I love the character of the Duke, voiced by good old Alfred Molina. If I were a rich man. Next up is the booster manifold, where Terry really does test Corvo's stress levels, causing him to create a red goobler, which is essentially a growth, a living growth, hellbent on killing its creator. And similarly, the replicants try to become friends with the popular kids at school, only to infect them with a bizarre puberty-based pheromone from a flower growing out of their heads, which is really bizarre, which zombifies the kids, causing them to commit to a rage virus, which was hilarious to a degree, but really strange with the usage of the horror genre in this particular episode. Next up we have the Levatic Reactor, which is another one of my favourite episodes where we have Terry and Corvo attending a college together, where they challenge one another, becoming rivals, and then we have the complete opposite for the replicants, who force themselves to attend school more regularly even when not needed, as they work together after being threatened by the school principal. And this episode had some great ongoing gags, especially some of the visual humour once again, and the dialogue, especially from Terry in particular, trying to make Corvo just as dumb as he is. He's slowly becoming my favourite character over the course of these episodes, and I love the attention to detail within the animation for him in particular, where in each episode he seems to have a change in t-shirts. Next up is the Patricia device, where Corvo and Terry obsess over the idea behind making a man cave, but realise it's not fun without a significant other to bitch about being in the man cave, and so they build a robot to solve this, which once again, as I'm sure you can imagine, does go horribly wrong. Next up is Terry and Corvo steal a bear, which is a very deceptive episode, similar to that of the Rick Lantis mix-up from Season 3 of Rick and Morty, where the full episode is about the Wall, with the main Wall character Tim introduced in the second episode, leading a revolution against the Duke. And this was a brilliant episode full of creative ideas, creative visuals. I love things such as using Lego bricks for armor within the Wall and stuff like that. And then we have the saddest story of them all, and that was Molly the Mouse. Genuinely a heart-wrenching moment towards the end of this episode involving the farmer character and Molly the Mouse. And then we have a fantastic twist leading us into hopefully some great opportunities in the second season. And then throughout this episode, I love how in the background we see the so-called bear moments, which is something that I do hope we at least reference in Season 2, or at least maybe get a callback towards what actually happened in this episode, but I do find that unlikely for how deceptive this episode is supposed to be. And for the season finale, we have the episode Retrace Your Stepalizer, which was a fantastic concluding episode to this first season, revealing a lot more about Corvo and Terry's past and their mission together. And I love the simplicity of what actually brings them to step into their own past, to give us a visual of what actually it was like on their homeworld, where the characters are trying to find out what happened to Corvo's wallet. And they literally do step into the past and discover this, only to then accidentally change the future. Or so they think, leading us to some great plot twists for the season finale. And I am very much looking forward to the second season, hoping that we will see more of their original homeworld. So that's going to do it for my review on the complete first season of Solar Opposites. I hope you enjoyed. Overall, some really great characters introduced in this first season, some very interesting science fiction themes. Thankfully, this isn't a Rick and Morty clone, and really does feel a lot more grounded, especially with it obviously being a sitcom, but with enough changes to differentiate it from your usual Simpsons or Family Guy. And if you haven't checked out this show and you like the humour and style of Rick and Morty, I would definitely recommend giving this show a go. So that's going to do it for my review. If you did enjoy, please do leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of Solar Opposites? Are you excited for the upcoming second season? And for more videos, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.
Are you threatening me?